Welcome back to another episode of Fresh Out of College. Today, we're going to little deep dive into our lives and sports. We haven't really talked about ourselves that much because we just hate to brag about our wonderful lives. But we're going to talk about kind of our best sports experiences, a little bit about our sports history, why we love sports, why we love the certain, sports, maybe favorite teams, and then kind of transition that into maybe our sports bucket list, things we want
Mhm.
to do in the next, I don't know, 70, 80 years, whatever. So,
70, 80 years.
Drew,
Okay.
tell me about your favorite sport and how that came to be.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Ryota, for the introduction. I think I've always been a fan of the Washington Huskies, and I think anybody who knows me knows I'm a big fan. Um, Actually, right here I have uh, you know, a UW bottle opener. Just whatever. But yeah, I think my passion for them and my fandom started when I was super young. I think my parents would always they obviously went to the university, and they've growing up, and all I've known is like on Saturdays it's football. And I think my favorite experience and my most memorable experience is doing sailgate, where my grandpa would pick me up on his boat, and we would go to the Washington Husky football games and kind of be just boat there and hang out on the docks with other fans. And it's tough now because the games are so late, the um, and football has signed like a huge multi-million-dollar contract to have the games later. But I think my fondest memory is arriving there and kind of having like a 12:30 or noon game football and just enjoying the weather. So I think that, and I've always just been more of a Husky fan. So that means basketball, football, softball for sure. And I mean, I haven't really. I think those are the three main. But yeah, I think that's where my love for both sports have come from, football and basketball, and that's kind of transitioned to baseball as well, um, and the Mariners and the Seahawks and you know the Supersonics. But I think that's my thing. But what about you? What kind of inspires you for your sports?
Yeah, I think again, like my sports kind of for my, my family and parents too. My dad played soccer in high school pretty competitively, and that was kind of one of the first things that me and my brother played. Soccer was one of the first things, and obviously my dad's a golfer now, so he taught me a little bit of golf early on. But my dad also just likes a bunch of sports. Like he likes watching basketball, little not so much football, but a little bit. He likes baseball a lot too, so he helped me, practice baseball. That's why my brother and I are baseball players now, and we played in college. But so I think most of my time has been, a duo of soccer and baseball because my dad played in baseball, just something we liked. And I think it helped that we had the Mariners here
Hmm.
and living in Seattle with Ichiro. I think that was also a big role model of mine growing up. So I think that really helped me stick with baseball, having Japanese players on the Mariners, including Sasaki too. And
Yeah,
then we have Jojima and some other players, Iwakuma, come along. So I think that helped me stick
Kenji.
along with baseball. And obviously, I've no other reason not to like only the Seattle teams. The Mariners, Seahawks, Sonics. When they were here, I think UW sports I'm starting to get into a little bit more, but mostly, I mean, any Seattle team, the Sounders, including Storm, all those teams are, obviously sports is something that I'm always going to love to watch or play or whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my short backstory on that. But
Yeah, well, very well said. I think it is interesting because you talked about your dad influencing you into sports, and I think that can also be said for me as well. I think I grew up playing. I think my parents wanted me in all sports, so that was soccer, baseball, basketball. Not so much football, but just getting me into all the kind of sports. And then when I went into high school, I just did basketball. But that transition of just getting out there and playing, I think that has also helped kind of my love for the game, and then also just watching it, being able to play those sports and then watching them on TV was a big thing for me. But yeah, I mean, the NBA, in a sense, when the Sonics left, I was devastated. So it's kind of I kind of had to move on, and like I haven't really been a fan of a specific team. I think right now for me, it's been a player or players
mhm.
that I've been following more closely than a sports team. So it's tough for that. When the playoffs come and when the race for the playoffs come, you
Mhm.
can't really. side with the team that you want. You know, you're not watching every single day. It's
Right.
more of just like what kind of player is playing. For
Mhm.
me, one player that I followed closely in his career was Isaiah Thomas. Just because I was able to watch him at UW, and then even in Tacoma, he played high school ball in the Washington area. So just watching him and his career and how it evolved um, was kind of a big thing for me since we did not
Mhm.
have the Sonics anymore. So just
Right.
watching that, I think that's how my NBA,
Right.
the love for the NBA has kind of evolved.
Right.
So
Right.
through college, NBA.
I thought you were a Knicks fan though, right? Is that
Well,
right?
so yeah, so backstory on this is when in college we did a bowl and we had to pick out teams, and of course I get the Knicks. So yes, I am a Knicks fan by default. If I guess I don't have the Sonics, but I mean I still think I Carmelo went to the Knicks and played for the Knicks and played many years for the Knicks, and I think he is one of the players that I have always I've always loved his game. I've always loved his scoring ability. So I think
Mhm.
when he was on the Knicks, I've loved him, and then for me, I think it's like I said, I think it's the players that make it for me. And when the
Mhm.
Sonics do come back, it will be kind of more of a switch. I think I'll
Right.
always like to follow players, but I think it will be more of like, for the Mariners, I'll watch them more closely in that sense.
Right.
But, I guess I don't really have per se that team that I'm, you know, connected with as much as
Right.
I was with the Sonics, if
Right.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and that just for the NBA, just because we are put in an unfortunate situation,
Yeah.
and it's hard for us to be like people are like, oh, why don't you just be a Thunder fan? And no, it's not the same. You can't just be a Thunder
I think we
fan.
should do a podcast about about this the Sonics leaving. I think that would be a really good, and like
Yes, we
maybe it
should.
would be like a 3-part one where we bring in like other people and like talk about like what
Yeah.
that meant, and like we can like go through each like the selling of the team to like
Hmm.
the like kind of like the false hope. That would be kind of a fun thing we could talk about,
Yeah.
just because that was,
Yeah.
I mean, to this day, I think that is one of the biggest sports robberies ever. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the fans, wanted the team and thought the team was going to stay, and
Hmm.
then it just gets swept underneath us. So we should definitely talk more
Yeah.
about
It's
that in the future.
definitely blindsided. Interesting. Yeah, we should talk about that definitely. But going back to that, that Knicks story, right? So when we went into college, we were trying to get back into basketball by playing in a real, but by playing 2K a lot, by also doing fantasy basketball. But yeah, we don't. Drew and I obviously don't have a favorite team in the NBA, so we were drafting teams out of a hat, including Sean too. Actually, I think Sean drew a team, and he's technically a Pistons fan.
Oh, is he a Pistons
Um,
fan?
I think
Oh,
so.
that's so
Well,
funny.
so anyways, I took when I drafted the team, I took it very seriously, and I am now a very strong fan of the team I
Yeah.
drafted. So I bag on Drew and Sean a little bit for not being true to their teams, which I give a little bit of
It's also
slack
funny.
because I
It's also
guess they're
funny
not really
because
good teams.
your team is so young and so hopeful, and then I'm stuck
Well,
with
but if you
aging.
think about it, when I drafted my team, we drafted in I think the sophomore year, so that's 2017. Everyone thinks I'm a Zion bandwagon fan, but
No,
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 I
but
was a
you are an
fan when
Anthony
AD
Davis
was
fan.
there and Drew was there. We no right? Am I wrong? People when people call me a bandwagon fan, they can't call me a bandwagon fan. I pulled that team out in 2017 or 16, and I've been a Pelicans fan since then. And this is before Zion, so no one can give me Zion bandwagon crap. So I'm a
Zion's
proud
only playing
Pelican
15
fan.
minutes a game. He's nothing.
Okay, yeah. But anyways, yeah, Drew's kind of more of a Husky fan, so that makes sense. But before the Sonic, after the Sonics, I haven't followed, and so I took on this Pelicans fan role,
Yeah.
and now I'm not a diehard, but I like apparel. I like watching their games, and
No, yeah,
I
I
root
think
for
you're right.
them,
I
and
think
I think we can win in a couple of years. So, anyways, yeah,
that's good. No, I think it's good to have a team that you're passionate about. But for me, I think I keep on saying this, but I think I go back to like the players, and I think I really do like to see LeBron play, and I like to see him perform well. But for me, I think it's now just watching the players and tracking their careers, and
yeah,
that's how I get the most fun I get out of the NBA is the matchups and like
hmm
who's gonna win this matchup because there's such good players now.
hmm
But yeah, so the MLB, gosh, where do I begin? It's tough. It's so tough. I think 2001 was the last time the Mariners played in the playoffs, and to be honest with you, I was 4 years old. So you know, didn't have the biggest memory. I don't even think I had a memory of them in the playoffs.
I don't think I
I've just
remember
been
either.
watching, highlight reels of them, and it's so long ago now. So it's tough. It's really tough to be a Mariners fan, but it's also really fun. I feel like as being fans for any team, you just have the hope that they're going to perform well, and then
Mhm,
for me, whenever they lose, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so devastated." But then the very next day, I'm back on the TV just watching them play again and
mhm,
hoping they're gonna
right,
win, and then you go on these big losing streaks, and then you go on these big winning streaks, and I think that's what makes Major League Baseball so fun, is you play almost every single day, and you can get on these big winning streaks, and there's
mhm,
just so much that goes into it
yeah.
for baseball.
So I wanna add one thing. So, I guess in terms of, like, Seattle sports history, Seattle's never been a New York or Boston. Like, we've never had a history of winning, even the
Mm,
Seahawks. I
yeah.
think people our generation forget when they think Seahawks, they think Seahawks are good. Seahawks are one of the teams to
Yeah.
beat. But in the
I
past, they weren't really that. Before
I
Sean
think
Alexander and Matt Hasselbeck, like,
yeah.
that was kind of developed through that time, I think, in
Of
my
course,
mind.
of course.
And then clearly we know where the Mariners are. We've had this high peak, but then we're back to, at the bottom. But I think there's hope, right? That's what we're hoping for, that we'll reach this stride. Seattle Storm's always been kind of a dominant team, I think. But again, the WNBA hasn't been as big. So we're starting to see a rise there. Seattle
They also
Sounders
haven't been in the
has
yeah,
always
that
been pretty good. Trying to think of other sports teams.
you
The
mean the
Sonics,
Seattle
so Sonics
Kraken?
had its ups and downs too. They had some really really good years, but also like some down years too.
I think
Um,
I think the Sonics I think if we were to think about it now, hypothetically, if the Sonics didn't leave and Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden were there, I
yeah,
think
we
this
would.
would have been up and up and up, and I think we would have been competitive. Like this, the Sonics have always been competitive. I think obviously you had Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, and then Ray Allen. I mean, not as dominant as those 2 as the former, but I think still respectable.
Mhm,
Obviously, you have to they weren't the best because, Kevin Durant went number 2, then you have Russell like, obviously, there's years of tanking or of not
right.
tanking, but of losing, but I think that happens with every, organization, and kinda going back to the Mariners, like you said, that losing streak has just kept on going, and I think that's the sign of a bad ownership, not ownership, but bad general managers we've had.
Mhm.
The Mariners have had,
And
sorry.
luckily, we've decided to finally cut that tie at some
Yeah,
point and get Dipoto, which I
yeah,
really like Dipoto. I think he's obviously the success. It's hard to see success in 1 or 2 years. Because how
mm,
long has Dipoto been a GM? Like 16, maybe
15 maybe?
15. So I
He
think right about now is when we start to expect it, and maybe it's a little bit late, but he literally had to rebuild everything. So
no, I think I like what the Mariners are doing. I think they're taking a more cautious approach, and I think instead of selling the farm or selling a lot of the top prospects for veteran arms, I think what Dipoto is doing is I think he has a vision. I think it's a clear set. 2022 is the year where he wants everybody to be up, and I think having that sight be so clear, and I think that that has helped the fan base in a sense, you know.
yeah.
And it's always great that the young prospects are actually performing. I
Hmm.
think being a Mariners fan, it's been tough, and I think it's been tough because like you see all these teams, like you see Houston being so bad and then propelling up to World Series esque. So coming from a Mariners fan, I think you really do have to take the bad parts with a grain of salt and look for the future.
Yeah.
Who has been your favorite Mariner player, not named Ichiro or Griffey? Do you have anybody that has kind of been that player for you? That is
Hmm.
not the big ones?
Okay, so like not including Edgar, also maybe
No,
then.
no, no. I mean, okay, we can include those, but I feel like those are more of like the big names,
Right,
Randy
right, right.
Johnson, Jamie Moore. Like, I feel like those guys are like, okay, yeah.
So maybe
But
someone I respect that didn't deserve as much respect as they
or
should have,
who
maybe.
would have you liked to see more of? Maybe that might have not been that impactful player, but who did you wake up to and be like, okay, I like him. I want him to
Do you
perform.
remember Willie Bloomquist?
Yeah, shortstop. Yeah, I do.
I wouldn't say I looked up to him, but I enjoyed his type of baseball. I guess just what he meant to the team.
Yeah.
when I grew up, or when I started playing competitive baseball, like in, like 16 and up, I
Mm,
started to play a bunch more positions. Like when I was 12, I mainly just played infield and pitched. But as I got older and, 14, 15, 16, and eventually high school, I kind of prided myself on being the Willie Bloomquist. Because you remember how
yeah,
he was a utility player?
yeah,
But outfield, shortstop, first base, second, third. And that's kind of what I started to become when I played club baseball. And I think that was kind of someone I looked up to, that kind of player. And those are
yeah.
people like that I still respect to this day, especially even in fantasy. Like I respect Marvin Gonzalez. You remember him?
Mhm.
Former Astro, he's a Minnesota
Houston.
Twin now, but he plays a bunch of positions. Chris Taylor's like another good example. Dylan Moore as a Mariner now, who's actually
Yeah.
played really well. Another example. So I really like players like Willie Bloomquist, who are so versatile, played the game the right way, played hard, and he played for a long time. And I mean, again, he's not a Hall of Famer, but
Yeah.
he really did a lot of good things and was pretty important player, important role player, I guess.
I like that pick. I have 5.
Five, okay.
1, Sean F no, I'm just kidding. Um,
Oh no.
I think recently it's been Taijuan Walker. I
Mm,
liked when like, he started when he was 20, then he gets shipped out to Arizona, and just the way he's come battled back from injury.
hmm
I've really liked his growth. And I think he's showing promise, and he will continue to show promise. Another player when we were growing up, and this might be cheating, but Adrian Beltre, always
Yeah.
consistent hitter, a
hmm
great glove at third base.
hmm
I think I just liked he wasn't as, like, I don't know. I liked him. I enjoyed his presence
No, yeah,
and the way
definitely.
he held himself. Jose Lopez, second baseman,
Yeah,
was a fun player to watch.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and then like you said, like Kenji Jojima with the kick, he would have
hmm
that big, like,
hmm
what do you say? Is that
Leg
kick?
kick.
Leg kick, sorry, yeah. He was always fun to watch. And obviously that those teams didn't win a lot,
hmm
but they were, I guess those are the memories I know most of, just because, like, I always thought they were gonna be better than they ended up being.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's a lot. Yeah. I mean, if you look back at the Mariners, I could probably add a bunch to this list. There's so many diamond in the sand kind of, that
Diamond in the
metaphor
rough.
example, or diamond in the. I
Diamond
was
is
trying to
sick.
think. I wasn't sure if it was pearl and yeah. Okay. Diamond in the rough examples, like Mike Cameron. Do you remember him?
Yep.
He was awesome to watch. I also like. Do you remember Randy Wynn? We only had him for like 1 or 2 years.
Reliever? No, I
Yeah,
don't.
he was an outfielder. He was there when Edgar and Ichiro and Sasaki were there. He didn't play for
Mm,
that long. He played in. I think he played mostly for the San Francisco Giants. But we had him. I
okay.
liked him. I also want to because you talked about Beltre. What a job Kyle Seager's done
Yes,
filling in for
exactly.
that role. That was a huge void. And Kyle's probably going to be a Mariner Hall of Famer very
Yeah.
easy. I think very easily.
It's
Um,
very interesting because he is about to hit his 300th home run, which
mhm,
is,
yeah, exciting.
unheard, or 200, whatever. He's at a
It's one of
99.
those. Okay.
But he very, very prestigious company. I think it's interesting because, he has come Kyle Seager talking about him because he's been here for a while now, but he came in when the Mariners didn't really have that, like, the hype that the Mariners are trying to
hmm
garner, but he has shown that he has been able to, perform well
Yeah, and he's
very,
one
very
of
well.
our few players that was actually drafted by the Mariners, and then
Mhm.
finally made the big leagues. And there's been a respect. He has one All Star, right?
He also has a few Golden Globes, I think, so,
Yeah. So
um,
I mean, some really good accolades. So proud of
yeah.
him, and he's always been. I always liked him. Like he's a cool guy. Seems very nice, in interviews, and he's a normal guy.
One player that I just thought of and is Raul Ibanez.
Yeah, yeah, another good example.
Is I feel like I don't know. He played for the Mariners, and then I think he went to the Phillies,
Yeah, and then came back again for his like
and then
last
came
couple of
back.
years.
But it's fun to
He was
see.
a
I think
Yankee at one point too.
I
Yeah.
think what we see with the Mariners is that they come back players that have played well and have kind of, interacted with the fan base have come back, um, at the end of the career, kind of. We saw that
Yeah,
with
I
Ken
mean, I
Griffey, we
think that
saw that
says a
with
lot about
Ichiro.
Seattle as a city, but I think the fan base, they like playing in
Mhm.
front of Seattle fans.
Yeah,
I mean, especially for like the other sports, we see fans love sports in Seattle.
yeah,
Again, maybe not as much as the Mariners because it's lack of success, but there's a reason why the Seahawks, stadium is the way it is. Seattle sports fans love sports.
Mhm.
and then now we have a hockey team.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, I think the next step, there's no doubt that the NBA knows that Seattle has a great fan base. Like that is without
Well,
question.
yes, it's
Just
yeah.
takes time. Having a hockey team, I think, is another huge step, for Seattle sports. But anyways,
It
I think
yeah.
that's why people like coming and playing in Seattle.
No, I think you're right. I think the whole thing with the Sonics was that, um, the arena wasn't up to standards, and I think when you have a hockey team, you kinda have to make now Key Arena will start to become like, they'll start upgrading it,
Mhm.
and hopefully get enough capacity there for an NBA team. But, yeah. Alright, enough of the Mariners. Is there any other what should we talk
Let's
about?
transition to like maybe your favorite game or sports things you watched live or on
Yeah,
TV or games you
yeah,
played in, maybe yourself. I don't know.
okay.
Just
Um,
anything.
I'm gonna start out with I'm first gonna do my favorite live moment that I went to, what game I went to live, and then we can go into, like, what games we played. Um, I think it's gotta be so it's either the Peach Bowl,
Mhm.
when the Huskies played Alabama in Georgia, or one of the Rose Bowl against,
Right. I
I think
forgot
I'm
you
gonna
went
go
to that.
Rose. Sorry?
I forgot you went to that. It's a
Yes.
big game. Talk
Yeah,
about it and tell us. What was the
I will tell
experience
you.
like?
But I'm deciding on which one I wanna talk about.
Talk about both. We got all
No,
the
I
time in the
wanna talk
world.
about one. Alright, I'll
Okay.
talk about both. You twist my um, okay, so yeah. So I went to the Georgia game, not the Georgia game,
Mhm.
but the Peach Bowl, and that was a great game. That was obviously the Huskies didn't win, but the Huskies were it was the first time they were in the playoffs. It was the first, like, installation of the college football playoffs, so it was great to have the Huskies there. What I would say is that Alabama fans are unlike anything anybody else I've known. Like, down in the South, they care about their football. It's a whole different culture. It's a culture shock. They're like it's insane, and it's hard to, like, to talk about it if you haven't really been there, but, like, when my cousin and I were in the stands, we were just surrounded by all Alabama fans, and we were actually in the Husky section, so it was crazy to see, but super awesome. We did the whole parade thing, and I think that's one of my more fonder moments of live football. But yeah, and then I'll talk about the Rose Bowl because the Rose Bowl is a lot. Everybody knows kind of about the Rose Bowl and, like, that prestige. It's great. It was great. Obviously Pasadena is a wonderful place, and I got to see. I was lucky enough to watch the Huskies versus Ohio State, and obviously the Huskies didn't win again. But I think it was more or less about, like, the outcome of the game. Obviously, I wanted them to win. I was rooting for them to win, but, like, just being there in the stadium and have in surrounded by the environment was fun. And hopefully, the next game I go to, they win because it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially in college football when you only have them for 3 or 4 years, and it's not like you can sign them for, like, massive contracts. So, yeah. Those are my 2 fond moments, and of course, they're about college, and of course, they're about the Huskies. But what about you?
Yeah, so I'll share two moments, live moments that I can remember pretty well. I'll start with in chronological order. So first one, I went to a Mariner game with my parents' family, and then some friends also came with us. We had like four seats. So we were on the third base side, and it was Hisashi Iwakuma pitching in August against the Orioles.
Okay.
And that game just happened to be the game
Is
where he
that
threw a
the
no hitter.
no-hitter? Yeah.
And I mean, that was the first time like I've been to a Mariner game and something like that's ever happened. I've never watched a no hitter live. That was really cool. Like I remember one specific play. It was like at the bottom of the ninth inning. So obviously, he's bidding for that no hitter, and
Mhm.
someone hits a fly ball in like foul territory. And Kyle Seager, I think, was playing on the shift or something, so he had a super long run to make, and like caught it right before the stands. We got kind of blocked in the view, but we watched it, and the crowd was going crazy. And I mean, for the final out, we all had our phones out recording.
Yeah.
I wish I still had that video.
What
I took one. I think it was on like my old phone. I wish I still had it, but it was really cool. I mean, it was pretty packed on that day. Surprisingly, it was crazy and super exciting to watch that. And again, that Seattle environment. I mean, when Seattle fans are into it, they're into it, and that was probably one of my favorite baseball moments live. And then also, I'm gonna throw in a third one, sorry, because that reminds me of another moment.
Alright,
So a
fine.
couple of years so this was when Felix was in his prime.
Is it a perfect
Um,
game? Did you watch that
no,
live?
no, no, I wish. I wasn't at the perfect game, but it was a me and my brother went. It was that one year when we were really close to making the wild card, and I think if we won that game, we had a chance. Like another game would have to like lose or win or whatever. But if we won that game, we would have had a chance to, make that scenario. We were playing the Athletics, and it was a crazy game. It was packed because everyone knew what the what the game would have meant, right? To
Yeah,
whether to
the
make the
meaning of
playoffs
it.
or not. And then it was a back and forth game. Like Nelson Cruz hit a home run, and then they hit a home run. It was crazy. We were in the outfield too, and it was just packed. That was one of another cool Mariner game moment. Unfortunately, we lost that game, and we didn't make the playoffs. But it was one of those years, like probably 2016 or 17, because I think Cano was there too.
Yeah,
One of
if
those
well, if
years,
Nelson Cruz was there, Cano was definitely there because that
right?
Cruz was the last piece to it.
Right.
Uh,
So that
my
was a cool
yeah,
one. That was a short one. But the most importantly, last fall or winter,
uh-huh.
remember when Willie came to visit?
Yeah,
So Willie and I went to the MLS Cup, which is the Sounders versus Toronto FC. That was the first ever major championship I've ever watched. And I've been to a couple of Sounder playoff games, and they were really exciting. But we went to this one. It was a total blowout. So in the end, it was kind of boring, but it was fun to see the celebration and everything because that was their, you know, I was at a championship game. Like I've never
right.
been to a Super Bowl or World Series or anything. This is my first, national championship game, and that was really cool.
Yeah,
Upsetting Toronto really, and Toronto, we've had history with them in the finals, so that was kind of a cool experience to watch and be a part of that celebration. So
you're
those are
right.
my kind of key moments live. So
Yeah, it's definitely a championship scenario, kind of like a playoff game it's definitely a different feeling than a
mhm,
normal something in the air, and it's kinda hard to, so it is fun.
yeah,
But yeah, those are
so
good ones.
yeah.
I guess my last Mariner moment, if I had to pick a Mariner moment, it was probably, I guess whenever I go to Mariner games, it's the I don't go to, like, a specific game, like, like, "Okay, these guys are playing for a wild card spot," or something like that. I usually just go to a game that's, like, the cheapest, but I think one of the games would be when we play Toronto, because then like, the Toronto fans are able to come
Oh
down,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's always a fun experience. But,
those games are
yeah.
fun.
Bucket lists. What kind of sporting events do you wanna check off in the near
Yeah,
future? Or okay,
first I'll kind of go off of the basics of what I've crossed off on
okay,
my, I guess this is my lifelong bucket list. So one of them is going to a football game. I never went to one until you took me. That one, I think it was for your
okay.
birthday.
It was
That was
the
my,
Cal game,
yeah,
Jared
exactly. And that
Goff.
was Jared Goff, right?
Yep.
That was a cool experience because that was I think my first UW football game. I might have gone when I was younger, but not after the rebuild for sure.
Yeah.
Um, that was fun because I also remember it too. And it was against Cal, who was really good. I want to say we won.
We lost.
We lost. Okay, never mind. But that was a
It was
good team.
it was against Jared Goff, though. So,
Right, and exactly. So
whatever.
that was the year he got drafted, right? Or that the year,
It
right?
probably yeah, it was probably something close to that. I definitely think
Okay.
it was his junior year for sure.
Yeah, I
I
remember
don't know.
because you were talking about him. I had no idea who he was, but
I
now I
was
know
like,
who he
"This guy's
is.
going number 1." And then he
Yeah.
goes
But that was one of those things I want to cross off. I've been to Sonics games before. I've been to Mariners game, obviously a Sounders game. I've been to like 2 Seahawks games. I've been to a Storm game when I was younger.
"Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't flex too." No, just
I'm
kidding.
just saying I'm going across the whole things, across my
Alright,
bucket
fine.
list. I've watched a MLS Cup. Trying to think what else would be on the standard bucket list that I've crossed off. I haven't been to a UW basketball game,
Okay.
but I have gone to the UW basketball camp, summer
Oh, there
camps
you
when I was
go.
younger.
There you go.
So actually, Willie and I have a picture of us standing next to Brandon Roy.
Nice.
Apparently, my dad actually even talked to him.
Here's a funny story I have actually. When I used to go to Lorenzo Omar camps,
Right, right, right.
religiously, and then there was the giveaways, at the end
Yeah.
each day, and I actually won one of those, and I
What did
don't
you
know if
get?
it's in my room, but I had Isaiah Thomas signed like one of the small UW
What?
balls, and then I got everybody else to sign it, but Isaiah Thomas had
Lucky.
it signed. And I'll probably bring it next podcast,
Okay.
but yeah.
We honestly probably went to the same camps. We just didn't know each other back then.
Yeah, I was probably too good. I was probably in the upper nose game.
Yeah, whatever. Because I remember I went years. So Yeah, I went one year when Brandon Roy was there. I think I went a year when Nate Robinson was there. I
Yep.
remember John Brockman for sure was he there one of those years. I'm sure
Great.
we definitely crossed paths.
Yeah. Probably, I mean, yeah. It's weird because, gosh, that seems like so long ago, but they would put us in, like, teams, and then we'd play the teams at the end for, like, scrimmages, but
Right.
yeah, those were great camps.
Those were really fun camps. I never played organized basketball since then,
Nice.
even though, yeah, I went to the camps. But I think Willie's parents dragged me into it, and
Yeah.
I think I had fun. But I mean, I didn't know anything
It's fun,
before
it's
that.
definitely fun, like, just a week of just straight basketball.
Yeah, and I mean, back then we didn't really know what difference between pro and college, so they all seemed like
Yeah, exactly.
pros to us. But
Yeah.
um, Drew, tell me what you've crossed off. No, maybe your basics are cool. I don't know. Just yeah, tell me what
Um,
you've crossed off so far.
okay, let me think. So I've been to a Husky game, football game, basketball game, Husky basketball game, a Husky softball game. I was able to watch Danielle Laurie, who
Oh,
is a
that's
very,
cool.
very good a softball pitcher.
One of the best ever in
For
the
Huskies,
nation.
yeah. And then haven't been. I think I went to a Husky soccer game, but I don't really remember it. So maybe that would be a bucket list to go on. And then I've been to a Seahawks game, but I haven't been to an actual game. I've been to 2 preseason games
Mm,
just because they're really expensive.
they are.
Um, and they're kinda like Sunday nights, so it's, like, kinda tough, and sometimes they're Thursday.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful to go to a primetime game because I
Uh-huh.
think that'd be really fun, but I'll stick especially with my budget, I'll stick with a preseason game, any day. And then I've been to the Sonics game, fun story, I've actually got free tickets when I was in elementary school from my PE teacher,
Hmm.
so I was able to go to those games. Been to a Mariners game, been to a lot of Mariners games. I went to a T-Birds game, a hockey game,
I
the
actually went
T-Birds.
to one too. That
Yeah,
you're giving me reminding me of all these things I should have talked about too. But yes, I went to those. That was actually really fun.
those are really fun. We caught they, like, threw out these pucks that are actually not, like, the rubber
Oh,
pucks,
but like
and
yeah,
I got to catch one of those. I've been to a few Storm games just because at Roosevelt we would get be able to go to those games. Yeah, and then what else have I done? I went to the Rose Bowl, I talked
yeah,
about.
that's a big one.
I went to, the, college football playoffs. Yeah. I went to an MLS game with you,
Hmm.
and then I think we also met up with Destin,
That's
at one of
right.
those
Yeah, because
games.
like Dustin and Isaac and Will, they
Yeah.
were all at the game. I can't remember if we ended up seeing them or not, but yeah,
I
we
think we did
talked to
see
them.
them.
Maybe we rode the bus ticket. Wait, I
Yeah, we
can't
rode the
remember.
bus back
Okay.
because I remember we went to it. What else have I done? Oh gosh, I'm on the spot, I don't know. I went to the Apple Cup. I've been to the Apple Cup
Oh
many
yeah.
times. That's always fun. I saw the Huskies beat Oregon. I saw the Huskies beat Stanford. Always fun games to go to. I went to the game where the Huskies put up 70 points against Oregon. I think no, I didn't.
Ooh.
I watched that game though.
Okay.
I was able to watch that game in real time because I think that was at Oregon when we put up 70 points. Always fun. But I think my bucket list would definitely be you also went to a Trailblazers game.
That's something. Yeah, you reminded me. So I have been to Trailblazer. I've been to my Pelicans game. It
Yeah.
was at Moda Center, but that's I haven't been to NBA games since Sonics when I was a kid that I can barely remember. So that
Hey,
was
you've been to
NBA
Lucky.
game. Another thing you reminded me of the Husky soccer. I was actually a ball boy for one of those Husky soccer college games when I was
Oh,
little.
there you go.
Through when I used to play, Seattle United, we were like forced to volunteer as ball. That was kind of cool. I didn't really know what was going on, but that was cool.
That's
Also,
good,
oh, wait,
yeah.
continue. Do you have other things you've crossed off
I
or cool
mean,
sports moments you're a part of?
I think that's all. I'm gonna say that's all.
Okay,
And then if you remind me of something, I'll say it.
okay.
But yeah,
I'm gonna add a couple of things for those kids appreciation days for the Mariners. They had those, and they had players on the field or kids on the field at different positions. So I was actually selected one year to go out on the field. I was little, so I don't really remember it, but I
mhm.
ran out to first base, and so I shook hands with Jose Lopez, and he signed
Jose
the ball for
Lopez.
me. I was mad I was not selected for each year of that game. Some other kid did, but I was happy with Jose Lopez. That was cool. Got to be on the field, and
Oh,
that was a
that's
long
really
time
fun,
ago.
actually.
I did sit courtside one time at a Sonics game, but that was when I was
Nice.
I can't remember. Apparently, I bumped into Rashard Lewis on
Ah,
accident. I apparently was backing up and I bumped into him. So that's one
I
of my cool stories that I can't remember, but my parents said I
yeah.
did.
I think my only memories of the Sonics is watching them on in, like, the nosebleeds because, of
Mm,
course, I got it from my, gym teacher, and she hands them out, like, so but, yeah. I just remember, like, looking straight down and, like, I think there's, like, a TV, um, and watching that because it was too far down, but, yeah, those are always fun. So what do you think's on your bucket list? Tell me
okay.
what you haven't crossed out yet.
Yeah. I'll go maybe like over a couple first, and then we'll keep rotating because I have like kind of a long list that I want to cover because
Okay.
I'm a sports fanatic, right? So one of the things, my goals is to go to every MLB stadium
MLB
and
nice.
watch a game. And so no, I haven't done it for every stadium, but for like this Padres shirt, and you've seen me wear like a Rangers or a Yankees shirt, I try to buy like jersey T-shirt for every stadium I've been to. So this is a Matt Kemp one. I don't know why I went with Matt Kemp. You can tell the Padres just weren't that good when I went. But I've been to. I'm trying to
But
count
at
off. So
least
I've been
he's
to.
not like a guy that's like he didn't like I mean, it's not like a Jose Altuve
Yeah,
or
yeah. Well, what I tried to do is I try to buy names that would like people would kind of remember who was kind of famous. So like
uh
this time I bought Matt Kemp because I can't remember anybody else that was like Will Myers was there, but I was gonna buy a Will Myers
but,
shirt.
at least you didn't pick, like, somebody like, like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Someone
Like or
controversial.
like Alex Rodriguez.
Well,
I don't
actually,
know.
I have a funny story. So when I went to Yankee Stadium, they didn't have any like Jeter or like Rivera shirts because obviously
Yeah,
they'd be sold out.
yeah,
Actually, I mean, he was already retired at the time, but I thought they'd have some.
okay.
So I wanted to buy someone who would be remembered, like a Hall of Famer. I ended up buying a Carlos Beltran shirt.
Uh,
Yeah, and at that time he wasn't controversial, but now he's, he
he's
got, he,
plus he I don't
but he would have been a Hall of Famer, and he was. So I bought that shirt, and look what happened. But
yeah,
anyways, so
that's tough. That's cool though.
I've been to, I think about 8 stadiums. So I've been to, I mean, T-Mobile, obviously. I've been to Petco in San Diego.
Mhm.
I've been to the Anaheim Angels. I've been to Wrigley Field in Chicago, Yankee Stadium. I've been to Texas Global Life before the remodel.
Oh, yeah, before.
That's only 6. I thought I've been to more, but I think that's about it. But my goal is to go to every stadium and watch a game. I think that'd be kind of fun.
That's really
Maybe even like
fun.
a road trip kind of scenario with somebody. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sure, maybe in 10 years we could do that.
yeah, once I get
Yeah.
enough money,
But
you
that'd
know.
be a fun one. I mean, like a city a day kind of thing. But
No, that would be fun, and like we said, baseball is played almost every day, so we
yeah,
wouldn't have
exactly.
to be, get here every Sunday, blah, blah.
Right.
That's really cool. That's a good one. I think one of my bucket lists I've had is I keep on talking about the Huskies, but I mean whatever. Is going to every single like away game, Husky game. So I went to UCLA game at the Rose Bowl. So I've been to the Rose Bowl twice, but once against the UCLA, and then I went to oh gosh, where's the last time I went? I went last year to oh, this is not in the conference, but I went to BYU and I watched them play. There's another one. Hold up. Give me a second.
Did you go watch Stanford? No.
You're right. So one of my moments that I want to kind of check off is the Huskies like away games in conference. So I've been to 2 games. I went to the UCLA game and a Stanford game. And my dad and I usually go um once a year to the games and kind of like, do that. But since with COVID, I don't know if that's going to happen this year. But my goal is to try and go to every single game. I think my next one would be obviously Colorado. You know,
Hmm.
the the Buffaloes, since I'll
Hmm.
be living there
Right.
in it shortly. But that's kind of my checklist is to knock off every stadium in the Pac-12 and do that kind of road trip. So a little bit less ambitious as yours, but still kind of in the same way. Try and mark
Yeah.
off the things because I think
No.
it is fun. I think it is fun to see different like stadiums.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and you can kind of see the variety. And some stadiums are cooler than others, and
Yeah, exactly.
the food's the other cool thing about location and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Another one I'll just quickly mention is I want to go to the home stadiums for all of my favorite teams. So
Okay.
I have been to most, but I haven't been to the New Orleans, Pelicans court I haven't been to England or Spain because I also like FC Barcelona and Arsenal FC. So I'd like to go to London and watch Arsenal. I'd like
Right.
to go to Barcelona and watch, them play at their stadium. But also another one I want to add. So Liverpool is not a favorite team of mine, but they're a very rich history, historical team, whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
But for every home game, they play this song, "You'll Never Walk Alone." I'll show you this video sometime, Drew, but they sing, the whole stadium sings "You'll Never Walk Alone" before the
Mhm.
game. And I've watched it, like YouTube videos of people recording it. It is so cool. Like I got chills watching it.
Chills.
I want to go and be a part of it. I'll
Yeah.
send you that video sometimes. We could probably post it on Instagram or something. But
Yeah.
it's super cool. Like every person is singing the song for a minute before the game. It's
That
just
is really cool.
get chills.
That is really
That's
cool.
those are some of my other things on my bucket list that I want to do. But back to
That
you, Drew.
sounds yeah. I mean, that would be awesome. Go to every single home game of your favorite team.
Or not every single. I want to go at least once. Sorry,
Or once, right. Right.
every that would be madly ambitious. I need a lot of money to do that. But yes,
Yeah.
at least once.
Yeah. I think okay, so my next bucket list is my parents and grandparents have season tickets, but I think I want to have a season ticket to maybe the Mariners. It's probably gonna end up being the Huskies somewhere, but yeah, be a season ticket holder for a sports team. Um,
Nice. If
so really quick, really simple.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think that
Well,
would
I
be super
think
fun.
we all know we're gonna both be successful in life. So if you
Oh,
had the capital, you'd probably buy for. Would you buy for every sport in that city, or you think just
no.
one or two?
I think I would just do well, no. I would probably only just do 1. Maybe 2 sports, but definitely not all of them.
If you were in Seattle, what if you had one? What would you choose? If you had two, what would the second be?
Um,
Regardless of price, just
yeah,
someone
yeah.
says, "Here's a season ticket coupon."
Probably Husky football and Husky basketball.
Really?
Yeah, I would definitely do it. And I wouldn't think twice because it's yeah, I've grown up with them and
Yeah.
they're all I mean, you kinda get a connection with, like, you only get these players for 4 years and then you move
Hmm.
on, so it's cool
That's
seeing them
fair.
at the start of their career.
That's a good point.
Um,
And I guess every year it's kind of refreshing and new
yeah,
every
exactly.
time compared to
I
other
mean
sports where it's not quite.
it would probably be like I mean, the Mariners, I feel like just thinking right now, I think I go to enough games without having to be season ticket
Right.
holders. And then for the Seahawks, obviously, I would want to be that. Um,
Hmm.
so maybe that would probably be my third. But yeah, there's just something about yeah. I don't know. What about you?
I think if I had options, I think if Seattle was my option, I think Mariners would be number one,
Hmm.
and then my second would be the Sounders. I think as much as I like football, it's only 13 or like what 17 weeks.
Hmm.
I think if I had season tickets to Mariners game, I think I'd go to at least half. I
Yeah,
think Sounders I could try to make every game. So I think that's kind of. I mean, again, it depends on my seats. If I had Diamond Club seats, man, I'd go every day. Wouldn't have to
yeah,
cook
that's
after
true.
dinner. But
That is
um,
true.
yeah, I mean that's interesting. I mean, I'd hope I have enough capital to buy some, at least be a season ticket. At least just being a season ticket member, there's like something about it, the rewards you
You
get and
definitely get yeah.
the benefits and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's my next bucket list. I think I definitely want, and I think you'd also say this, so I might just rapid fire go through these.
Hmm.
Um, but I want to go to an NBA playoff game. Ideally,
Hmm.
the NBA Finals, being able to watch
Right.
that.
Same.
I don't care if I'm courtside or anything. So being able to watch that, I definitely want to see LeBron play.
Mm,
And I think
yeah.
I'm gonna be. I mean, with the whole COVID thing going on right now, it's obviously not ideal, but if it starts up next year, I definitely want to see him play Denver and be able to watch that game
Yeah.
before he retires.
Save me a
Um,
seat. I'll fly over.
yeah, no, for sure. And then like probably the World Series or probably a Mariners playoff game. I want to watch that.
Yes,
I want to
exactly.
be
Same.
in the stands for that. And so that's
Hmm.
another bucket list. Um, and yeah, and probably so just those two big ones. I think I have to say before anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much on the same lines as you. I want to see playoff games. I want to see a Mariners playoff game. There are players, yeah, I definitely want to watch before they retire. Like I think watching LeBron was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of watching the Blazers after they got Melo, so I got to watch Melo, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously I saw my Pelicans, which was great. Zion was injured still, so I didn't get to watch Zion. I couldn't get both out of the way, but I got to watch, I mean, an action-packed team and Dame, CJ's, Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Jackson Hayes Dunk, and Carmelo, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. So that was pretty cool.
yeah.
It wasn't just him watching a Mariners versus Orioles game kind of thing, fortunately. But
Yeah, okay, so I do wanna see, I'm excited for I guess this is not a bucket list, but what I'm excited for is being able to be in the stands with Jared Kelenic, Julio Rodriguez, um, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Emerson Hancock, and, Kyle Lewis in a
yeah,
lineup all together, and being able to watch them live. Obviously,
yeah,
the pitchers there'd only be one pitcher, but
right.
ideally,
But
they're
hey,
all
the value of
starters.
season tickets right there, you know.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But let's see
But
other
yeah.
things. World Cup is
Oh,
one thing I
yeah,
want to
World
go
Cup.
to.
Yeah.
Olympics too. I mean, Olympics are really. I mean, anything is really expensive, but Olympics might be one thing I want to go to at least once.
Yeah, especially if it's like would you rather have the here's a question then. Would you rather go to the Olympics in say, like I'm just throwing out like, a country, but, like, Brazil or compared to the US? Or what do you think? Do you think that
I
changes
think
your
I think going to Olympics foreign would be more fun, just so it's like a different experience.
Yeah.
Like as fun as the Olympics would be, cool to coming to Los Angeles or Seattle or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like it'd just be more fun if you go somewhere else. Same with the World Cup.
That's
Like
fair.
the US was going to be a potential bid in a couple years, like in 10, 20 years. But like, I mean, I'd definitely watch it if it was in Seattle. But like, I think it'd be more fun going somewhere, experiencing the food, the culture.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there are going to be other tourists there too.
That is
Plus,
true.
if it's
That's a
here,
good point.
we're just going to see a bunch of tourists, and I'd rather just get out,
That's a good point.
and be the tourist. Um, Super Bowl, another
Yes,
thing
of course.
want to go watch. Oh, I forgot to mention one of the Seahawks games I watched. It was
Yeah.
against the Chiefs, so I saw Patty
Live?
Mahomes.
Live?
Yeah, one of our family friends gave us, I think, like Christmas Eve tickets, and it was against the Chiefs last year.
And we won.
Yes, we won it, but it was also one of those days where Patty Mahomes did like a cool throw, and it was a crazy.
I think
That was a
that
really
was
good
the
game.
same year. That was last year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I had Patty Mahomes in my on my, fantasy team.
Yeah, and I had Kelsey, so I was cheering on Kelsey against my own team, which was kind of
Too
sad.
bad I didn't win the championship that year, but I still have
Yeah,
Patty Mahomes.
close, close. I was trying to think. I mean, yeah, I mean, it'd be great too, like to watch, sit pitch side or court side for any of these, future games I go to. Just like being that close to the field is
Yeah,
cool. Like I've had the privilege of being able to sit Diamond Club, like right behind home plate at the Mariner games through some family friends. That's been really cool. When I
you know
worked
what?
with what's that?
You wanna know if actually a story?
What?
Um, Sean and I went to a Mariners game,
And you snuck
and
in?
no, we didn't sneak in,
Oh,
n no, no, his dad, uh, actually had access to the Diamond Club, and so we got to go in and watch, and, we saw, and we took a picture of, with Buhner.
well, so
Yeah.
he wasn't playing. He was like reporting or just hanging out that day.
Yeah. I I don't know, wait, hold up. Let me see yeah, I'll show you later, but yeah,
Okay,
so that was my
that's
cool moment.
cool.
So we got to be in the Diamond Club. I think it was Diamond
Nice.
Club. We got to have, like, the food.
Yeah, yeah, Diamond Club.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, the Mariners Diamond Club really nice.
it is.
It's quite an experience, and yeah, I like it's if I had access and money to that, that's why I buy my season tickets. But again, it's way out of my price range at the moment. Hopefully, it will be. But that's one cool thing. I mean, I want to sit NBA court side. Like being that close to the court is going to be so cool if I could have that opportunity, and hopefully that'd be a good game or a cool, a bunch of cool players playing, and maybe give them a high five while they're running. I don't know,
Yeah, no,
something like
yeah.
that, or I could get their shoes or something. I don't know. But
They do
when
throw yeah.
yeah, but when I was with the sound, when I was working with the Sounders, I had an all field access pass.
Mhm.
So after I'd finished, I usually only worked like the beginning of the first half. So for the second half, I just go on the field and watch, which is really cool. And I want to do that for other sports too.
That is
NFL, I don't
cool.
really know how. I don't think they have like on the field
For soccer?
seats. No, for Seahawks football, like you
On
can't
the
be on the
field?
field. Yeah, you can't be on the field and watch, right?
I don't think so. I think the closest I was able to get was in, a preseason game, and I was, like, maybe 4 rows back,
Okay.
um, but Yeah, it was a Raiders game, so I remember that very, very closely. But
So
yeah,
I'm assuming the Seahawks won.
yeah, but it's a preseason game.
I mean,
It's like the starters get subbed out.
yeah,
It's not really,
yeah.
you know.
But even then, the Seahawks bench is gonna be so much better than the Raiders. I'm sure we beat them by 40 or something, right?
Well, it's a preseason game, Ryota. It doesn't matter. That's why players don't want to play preseason games. They don't
Any other
care.
bucket list things you can think of, Drew?
Nope. I
You
think
didn't
I'm
mention
good.
college football like championship.
Well, I already went to like the college playoffs.
Oh, you don't need to watch Clemson versus Alabama. No.
Well, not really. I'm not really if the Huskies played in the championship, yeah, I would definitely be down.
Do you think they ever will?
Yeah, yeah. I think UW is a great school. I think they're recruiting. Well, I don't want to get into this. I would talk way too much about it. So let's just end it here. All right. So yeah, that was our bucket list. That was kind of like how we were brought up on sports. I think it was a really good discussion. I don't know how long we talked for, but if you made it this far, thank you and make sure to spread the
Congratulations.
word. Yeah, congratulations. We'll see how Ryota does on the forecast for the weekend, see if he hits those teams, and we'll give an update on that. And then, yeah, we'll be back next Thursday for another episode. All right, see you guys.